Welcome to Stories Untold, or should I say welcome to this very scientific edition of Stories Untold. It is the home of good news. I am Pule Mulebati. The only difference is that today I am wearing a white coat as we celebrate International Women in Science Day. But we thought, let us bring it back home as we follow the story of two incredible young scientists who are in this lab on the daily trying to come up with solutions for South Africa's biggest challenge, which is food security. We follow their journey and we begin right here at the Doornfontein UJ campus. Let's go straight into it.
Today, only 1 in 3 science and engineering researchers in the world is a woman.
The 2023 International Women and Girls in Science celebrated women and girls who have devoted themselves to science and the advancement of human knowledge and understanding as students, researchers, and practitioners. 30-year-old Minenhle Khoza, Mini as she is affectionately known, and 32-year-old Nozipho Sibiya Zulus are two such women who have devoted their time to advancing their knowledge in the science field. Minenhle's PhD research project will go a long way in helping people with type 2 diabetes, whilst Nozipho's thesis will help citizens of the world to understand the relationship between science and African cultural belief systems. Both these women are PhD candidates in the fields of food technology and environmental and disaster management respectively, whose research projects will be a reminder to the coming generations that with the right frame of mind, nothing is beyond reach.
From childhood, I've always known that I was going to be in the science field. So my dad used to call me a scientist, like from tender age. That's all I knew. So even the career choice, it was influenced by that. I didn't know where in science I would land up, but I always knew it was going to be in science. But then in grade 10, I had my first contact with a microscope. And then from there, I decided I want to be a microbiologist.
Most of Minnie's life choices were influenced by her father.
I was a daddy's girl. My father and I was my father's man bag. Like everywhere my dad went, I would also be there. My dad was my mentor. Like everything that I planned with my dad. We had a very great relationship.
She lost her dad, which was a very traumatic event in her life, a very significant event in her life. It could have destroyed her, but guess what? It made her stronger.
Ubantwana nje bebonke uyumbheka uthi lo mntana lo uya kude the way esakhula vele umbona ukuthi hayi lo mntana indlela yakhe nje iya kude.
Minnie's first choice was microbiology. However, she had to settle for food technology due to the faculty being full. And for the benefit of someone who might take a liking to these professions, this is what they are all about.
Food technology is the science behind food. There's different sectors within the food industry. So a food technologist basically ensures that food is of good quality and it is safe for human consumption.
So biotechnology is using microbiological cells to create food, medicine. It's also applicable in the environmental sciences. There's different sectors of biotechnology or microbiology, if you want to call it that.
There also has to be food packaging technologist who will check the packaging material. There has to be a food technologist who's even involved in the design of the whole packaging. There's legislations around that.
Another young woman who has made great strides in the science field is Nozipho Sibiya Zulus.
I am a 32-year-old woman. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I am a scientist, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm also into fashion. So yeah, I'm a woman of many hats.
After matric, Nozipho took a gap year and her mother, who is an educator, enrolled her at the University of the Free State in the Qwaqwa campus to study Bachelor of Education.
I never knew I would end up doing science. I went to the Free State at Qwaqwa and they had accepted me. So I go there, I asked a reception, I'm like, isn't there any science? anything science course nyana. And then they say there's a BSc. Then I'm like, okay, can I still be a teacher with the BSc? They're like, okay, yes, you can add 1 year, which is called the PGCE. And then, yeah, so I'm like, okay, at least I'm going to say to my mother, they didn't accept me, good BEd, mang tate good BSc, but I'll still be a teacher because I'll add 1 year on top. So I did a Bachelor of Science just like that. So when I got in, I think I loved the white coat. That fascinated me. And then I got into it. And the stream that was wearing white coats the most was chemistry at that time. So botany wasn't that much. You would be in the lab, but you're also in the field, or collect plants and all of that. So I signed in for chemistry because of that. And chemistry was hard. It had a bit of IT, which challenged me. I changed to biological sciences because then it was lighter. But now with biological sciences, I had 2 options. I had botany or zoology. And I was like, I don't like animals, but plants are better. And then I went into botany like that. That's how I ended up in botany, and I did my honors straight after that. So when you move into honors and masters, then you can specialize. So I didn't know that when you get into science, science is still broad. It's very broad. And at that time there was phytomedicine, which was using plants for pharmaceutical purposes. So then I got a supervisor who was doing that, and I was like, this is related to medicine, so let me continue with this. So I did phytomedicine for my honors, and my research was mainly on plants, extracting plants and finding their antimicrobial activity for against some organisms.
The time Stories Untold spent with Mini, Nozipho and Mwiteki taught us that science is a field with many opportunities. The 11th of February marked the international celebration of women and girls in science, a recognition many women in science are happy about.
For years, women have been overlooked, they've been underrepresented. So this celebration simply means we are seen, our contribution to the field is seen, it's making a difference. So it's actually it's an honor to be a woman at this time and to be a woman in science.
We have to shine bright light on women, young women that are coming into the different scientific fields.
I feel like it's a great initiative to also acknowledge women who are working hard in this field and to just acknowledge the fact that they are trying to thrive and grow in this field and just enjoy it, really.
Though women in science are grateful for the recognition, the challenges are still many.
As a woman in science, I think you undergo a lot of dynamics, and one of the things that we can even say is that usually women fall behind even with success, because we get pregnant, you go on maternity leave. At that time, if there was a man within the same department, he's way ahead even with skills, you know.
As a woman, you have many roles, and those many roles are a part of your daily process. So you're not just coming to work and being a professional at work, but at the back of your mind, you've got a family that you support. You're a brother, you're a sister, you're a mother, and all of these people look to you for one or another thing. And that becomes your greatest challenge, because it's not just work. It's not just your career. When I get home, my role has to change. So I need to keep that time away from the office. And once I'm done with that, it's usually the late nights that you go back to what you need to do for work. When I'm at work, I'm focused on my work. But it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort and a lot of being self-aware to be able to put those boundaries in.
Professor Kaitise is one of the few African women participating in science fields.
Why do you think the likes of me would associate sciences with white people?
Well, I think first women, the statistics are out there for everyone to see. The sciences are predominantly male-dominated, and in terms of race, there's less black women in the sciences. I think we've seen a lot of effort through governments, efforts and organizations to get women to take up science as a discipline. I think we have made some progress, intentional progress, but we've also have a long way to go. Like you said, every time I walk in the room, people are surprised, and I don't think it's just my experience. I've had informal discussions with colleagues who also get the same, we expected somebody else to walk into the room.
What is the ratio of males versus females in science classes?
The time I taught Minenhle in her first year to my classes now, I have a lot more females. A lot more females than males. In fact, when you go into the advanced classes and you go into, for example, our advanced diploma or our honors and masters, we're getting a lot more females coming through. So even in my research laboratory, it's a lot of females. In fact, once they came and they said to me, can we please get some males in the lab because there's just too many females right now. So yeah, I think we're getting there. Definitely seeing a change.
The ratio, like the women were greater, or the ladies were greater than the gentlemen in our class over the last 4 years.
Minenhle prefers being in academia than corporate, and as a result, her students nominated her for the 2022 Male Guardian of Young People Making a Difference.
Last year I was nominated for the Young 200 Male Guardian. That comprised of people who needed to nominate me. So there was a nomination time or period. Then I was overwhelmed by the number of students who actually took their time to nominate me in education. And that was mainly based on the fact that I'm their lecturer and the fact that I am their WIL coordinator, or their work integrated learning coordinator. It was a very proud moment and a moment of validation for me. I think I work and I chase and chase and chase, and I hardly take time to look back or give myself a pat on the shoulder. Most of the things I do just feel like it has to be done, it has to be like that. So that was a moment of appreciation for me. It was a moment of validation.
Minnie's involvement in her work as a lecturer and going out of her way for her students is evident from her interaction with them. This is Lindiwe Moyo, an upcoming woman in science, and she is taking us through her research.
You are developing a reduced sugar cake mix for your SAFOS project. Can you please tell me about the science behind the product?
Oh, okay. It was more of an inspiration behind the product for the festive season, since a lot of young people are beginning to change their diets. They want to reduce sugar, they want to reduce gluten. So our product was more of accommodating everyone during those seasons. So we made a cake mix that has reduced sugar, and we swapped it with sucralose, which is sweeter than sugar but has less calories than sugar. So I'll start to mix. We're going to use the 3D printer just as an innovation. So this is the tube for the 3D printer. We choose the type of shape we want to make from our things before we bake them. So you just add it here, and then the printer, it'll come out somewhere from here into the printer. Nozipho, please come and help me with the printer.
We need to help it first.
Yeah, or even in the air fryer. Yes. So this is the This is what the final product looks like. So after we used our 3D printer, we chose a heart shape for our cookies. You can even choose the layer, like the thickness that you want with your thing. So this is just the science of it, of us not using our hands to knead the dough and cut into shapes.
With the invention of a gluten-free and less sugar cake mix by many students, it is evident that there is still a lot to expect from our young food technologists here in South Africa. Minnie's PhD research has been approved and it will be published in science and food technology journals. Her research findings will also benefit people living with type 2 diabetes.
As a food technologist herself, her research is dealing with issues, addressing issues relating to food insecurity from an overnutrition type perspective. So Africa and the world is dealing with what they call a nutrition transition. So the lack of food coexists with diseases associated with imbalance in nutrients. So overnutrition, if you may, not the right terminology, but in that sense. So we see a surge in non-communicable diseases. So her research is utilizing an easily available raw material. She's working with banana flour.
I've micronized green banana flour. So we've taken flour, there's different types of bananas, and then we've used those bananas species or cultivars to produce flour, and then I'm now doing studies on the flour, checking how does it, like for people who have type 2 diabetes, what would it do if they were to ingest it? Because based on research, banana flour has, or green bananas, which means unripe bananas, have a lot of resistant starch, right? Then which is good for people with type 2 diabetes.
When Minnie was inventing a product that will help in regulating blood sugar levels, Nozipho was working tirelessly with communities finding solutions that will assist with understanding the effects of climate change on the environment.
Climate change is the change of the climate in a long term, or the weather in a long term, changing the temperature. If you can compare now, it's hotter than it was before. The weather, we having disasters that we never had before, or they're coming more intensively than it was before. So going back to the roots and interviewing old people, interviewing the chiefs, Induna, and traditional healers, and trying to find their knowledge, how does it correlates. So for example, as a tornado, according to us scientists, it's a tornado. When I went down to search, they view it differently, like inkanyamba, inkosazane, there's a certain moral respect of it, even of weather, unlike the way that we're viewing it. And to find that they have their own ways of responding, adapting to it. For example, many people were saying that tina sinenduku, like amazaba, things that we hit whenever the lightning comes, even the power that African people have over weather. I, for example, on my wedding day had my mother and my grandmother bebatete ngemuva so that it can be sunny. So that's the way we found ukuthi they view it very differently. And one fascinating thing that they did and I grew up doing was that whenever kuza umoya or isphepho or like a storm or a tornado, we were taught that we, as kids, we go outside, we hit metals, namatin, and then it doesn't hit our place or it goes away. And when you view that with science, it's very common whenever vibrations rise of another, when a tornado is coming and these two vibrations come together, it actually moves away or it ends the whole process or anything that's happening. So for me, that was very mind-blowing. As much as we don't want to say science validates indigenous knowledge, but we also want to see how common they are and how we can also come up with solutions that are meaningful for people who are at the lower level.
For a 30-year-old, Minnie has done well, and this is what people close to her had to say.
She continues to inspire me. Yeah, her determination is something else. She has nerves of steel, and I appreciate her for that. And you know what? I'm learning from her every day.
Ngimfisela impumelelo kuyo yonke into ayenzayo. Into ayithashayo kimina ngifisa iphenduke igolide. Ngimfisela ukuthi akhule, ukukhula kwakhe angakhuli yena ngokomzimba, but akakhule ngokomqondo. And nabanye abantwana akwazi ukubalekelela ukuthi hayi mina ngihambe kanje angathi mina kube nzima la bekungekho lokho ekhaya, so nami ngizobamba ukuthi hayi naye akezoyefile lento engizwi. Cha, ngifuna ukuthi yena akhiphe konke anakho atetele izandla.
I would say keep going, no matter what. Keep going. Do not second guess it or wish it away. Just keep going.
The world is her oyster, and she should just keep on growing and bettering herself, and just keep on assisting each and everyone, be it they're in this field or not.
Whatever you want to do, you can achieve. Don't let anyone or anything stop you. And always have that goal to achieve something more than what you are capable of.
From the lady of the moment, who will be known as Dr. Minenhle Khoza, not in the so distant future.
If I were to write a message to myself, I would say, girl, you're the one we've been waiting for. You're really doing great. You should just keep a straight mind, keep on hitting those targets, and you'll be something great.
From us here on Stories Untold, it definitely doesn't get any better than this. Surrounded by greatness, change makers, women who are leading change in South Africa. From myself, Nozipho Sibiya, and the rest of the team, and of course, these ladies here today. Ladies, bye.